thank you so much for purchasing my card class for June 2024. All of the designs in this month's class are based on my favorite cards from years gone by. As I've been going through my craft room, I've been coming across cards that I have set aside that I just love, and I wanted to recreate them using current Stampin' Up! Product, because quite often, because these are old cards from events that I held years and years ago, some of the products, of course, are no longer available from Stampin' Up! But for the most part, I was able to use current product. There might be the odd little item that was retired that I had no choice but to use because we don't offer anything similar. But I want you to use what you have at home, or if there's supplies I use that are current that you wish to purchase. If you're in Canada, feel free to reach out to me and I'll help you. But the whole point of this class, if you've bought the kit with all the supplies pre-cut, or if you've just got the online version, which includes the PDF tutorial and this video series for the card class, use what you have and have fun. Just enjoy, take time to create. I thoroughly had a great time making these cards, and you'll see in the cards demonstration that I was just designing and recreating as I went along, filming it, and I really had a great time and had some delightful surprises along the way, using different stamps or different products that I wasn't anticipating, and it turned out so great. So I'm really pleased with the cards. I hope you have a lot of fun with them too. So without further ado, let's start stamping. Are you ready to get started? Card number 1 from so many favorites. And if you're wondering, I'm not joking. Look at this. Look at this, friends. Let me zoom out. I have so many cards that I have done over the years that I love. Look at tubs and tubs full, and they're all over my desk right now. And I am really excited to redo my favorite cards. So this is the first one we're gonna do, and I actually already have a video for this one. So I will make sure that the video is in the PDF tutorial link for you. So this is the bouquet technique. Very simple. You may have done it before, maybe you haven't, but it's one of my favorites and it's so easy. And one of my other favorite things about this card are these flowers. I love these flowers and they're so easy to make. So we are going to use some different colors and some different products. So let's get cracking. So the first thing I'm going to do is make my flowers because they can dry while I'm doing the rest. So on the original card, I used our scallop circle die. So if you have this, the scallop circle punch. So if you have that punch, that's what I used. You can use that on here. And I also used the punch for the leaves. Today though, and for this class, I'm bringing in the textured floral dies because we've got the leaves and we've got the flowers. We're not going to need the stamp set because we're going to just be using the cardstock to make the flowers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out 3 of these flowers, and the colors I've chosen for this card are Berry Burst, Highland Heather, and Pretty in Pink. Right? Very pretty. And then for the leaves, I'm going to use Old Olive. Very nice. Alrighty, so I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine and I'm going to cut, I find cutting 2 pieces of cardstock with my dies like this at the same time works fine. So I'm just going to run that through. And now my pink. And now I want to do my green. So let me just cut some of this. I love Old Olive Green. It has been one of my all-time very favorite Stampin' Up! Greens. I just love it. By the way, this is the one that I'm going to be using. And the reason why I'm choosing this one is because I like that I can split this in half if I don't want it to be as long. So I'm going to cut out 2 of those. 2 per card, I think, is all that's needed. So there's 1. Because again, on the original card, when I used the punch, it was a lot smaller. These are going to be bigger flowers, bigger leaves. The next step is to get our die cuts wet so we can crumple them to make these really cool flowers. And I'm also going to crumple my leaves as well. So all I'm going to do is just mist and crumple. You don't want to get too aggressive and rip your leaves. And this is optional. You don't have to do this, but I love the texture. So I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I'm going to do the same thing with this. This was demonstrated by Pam Morgan. Some of you may know or remember Pam from Stampin' Up! Home Office. She was just wonderful. She is wonderful. And she's retired now, but she did demonstrate this at an event I went to years ago. And for something so simple, oh my gosh, all these years later, I'm like still wowed by this easy flower. And I remember she even said, it's gonna look like you've chewed it up like a piece of gum and then spit it out, but trust me. And we were all like, what? And she was right. And this is just one of those things that I've just never forgotten, and there's a fun memory behind making these for me. That's such a fun event. And these flowers, boy, they're pretty easy. You can't go wrong. You can squish them up as tight as you want, right? And because it's not a straight edge circle, you're gonna get kind of like those fun different edges, right? You could probably totally do this with your circles. I always say no rules. No rules. Do you do what you like, use what you have fun with it, but do keep in mind that having those ruffled up edges, just like I did with the scallop punch here, they do make a difference. So look through your dies, look through your punches, and this is really fun. So just kind of play with it. Now, however you leave it is how it's going to dry. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if you want it really scrunched, I quite like that. But and of course, because these are also bigger flowers, putting them in an envelope in the mail, I mean, these are going to be kind of like 3D-ish, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just push down on them just to flatten them a bit. I don't like that one. I have to play with that a bit. I mucked it up. You wouldn't think that if you squish something that it'd be mucked up, but I mucked it. There we go. That's better. Okay, so got one more stem to do of leaves. Okay, gonna set that aside to dry. Now it's time to move on to the technique. So I'm using basic white. So my basic white piece measures 5 by 4 1/4, and my card base, instead of black like the original, I'm going to use Berry Burst, and it measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have another piece of basic white, and this measures 5 1/4 by 3 1/4, and that of course is for this strip right here. Okay, so now it's time to do some blending. On my original card, I used sponges. We didn't have blending brushes back then, so I'm going to use our blending brushes today. So I'm starting with my Pretty in Pink, and I'm just going to add some color to this. Such a pretty, it really is a pretty pink. We really needed a nice pink. So I'm really happy Stampin' Up! Came out with this particular shade. have to tell you, it's 36 degrees right now, which if you're someone who lives in the States or outside of Canada, I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's really hot in Celsius. So I've got air conditioning on and fans on, and I've actually closed the door to my craft room so it's not too loud with the fans. And it's a little warm. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little warm. I'm gonna do berry burst, and I'm gonna stick with the same blending brush. So did you see I just kind of went off the side a little bit just to make sure I don't have like clumps of color that I'm gonna be transporting to my paper. So I do want to make this darker. Just keep some of that pretty and pink in there. Don't want to hide it all, mind you. And we still have Highland Heather to put in there yet. Okay. Let's move into the Highland Heather. That looks nice. Okay. Just work it in until you're happy with it. And I think I want some more of that berry burst down in this corner, so I may do that. But see how I saw that pretty and pink? It's all there. And as you go on top of some of those previous colors with, you know, like this Highland Heather, of course you get different shades and a whole different look, right? It's starting to look like something that's been tie-dyed. So let's add some more, whoops, berry burst. I'm actually going to go around the edges as well, just like that. Okay, there's my background. Now, on the original card, I created a stencil using our circle punches, and we don't have these circle punches that I used here anymore, but we do have our decal circle dies. So in your kits you'll have something that looks like this. It's just computer paper, and you can position your circles. There's 3 different sizes wherever you want. So now this is where you're going to bring in your white craft pad. Mine is so old, like it is so old, you guys, I can't even tell you how old it is. But look around the edges. These are actually, it's hard around the edges, but it still works, and I just keep adding ink refill to the center. Just saying. So now I'm using a sponge dauber. You can use, again, you can use a clean blending brush or another sponge, but I do love using the sponge dauber for this. So I'm just going to start here. Oops, just hold that down and just add a very light shade of white ink. Now this is our craft ink, right? So it's a pigment ink, not a water-based ink, which means you can actually use this to emboss with. We used to carry all kinds of pigment inks, craft inks. but with Versamark and stamp positioners and so many different ways of using other products, I think pigment inks have kind of gone by the wayside, except for white. I could be wrong. Oops. And just work that in. And then we're gonna lift this off and move our circles around, overlap a little bit. Ready? Watch the magic. See? Look at that. It's so cool. All right. So watch where you put your fingers again, because that is a wet ink. So I'm just going to lay this right on top here like that. And just go right on top, overlapping that previous one. And it's up to you how much white ink you want to add, the strength. You know, if you want it to be darker, make it darker. Can always go back on top, right? You can always put down ink, but you can't take ink away, right? So you can start light and then go back on top if you want it to be a little bit darker. Oh yes, this is such a cool technique. I'm so glad we're doing this class together, my friends. Thank you so much for purchasing this class. I really, really do appreciate it. I knew when I was going through my cards that I wanted to, they inspired me, and I wanted to make them again. And I just thought, why not do a class and do it with others? Maybe somebody else would be interested. And so far this has been, I dare say, my most popular class ever. And I've been blessed with some great classes over the years. Great response and people liking them and buying them. But this particular class has been a hit. So I am absolutely thrilled. And I really hope all of you who purchase the class really enjoys the cards that we're making. And that's whether you've gotten the kit or the PDF tutorial. Look at, isn't that cool? So simple, so simple. And you can see here, by adding darker shades and more intense color, and I've kind of gone along the same color lines, but you do get a different look, and the white is going to stand out more. Okay? But there, you can see the difference, and I knew you'd be able to see the difference because I have this sample here. So pretty. All right, so now I'm going to put this on my card base. And I'm just using my glue. You can use adhesive tape, whatever you generally use, of course. I really gravitate towards my liquid glue because I can shift and move things around. I do have an ATG gun that, or tape thingy, you know what I mean, that I use when I'm doing a lot of mass producing, but generally I have really stocked up on these because I just know I tend to put things down crooked. I don't know why. It's a Tina thing. And I'm just gonna put a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 computer paper on the inside. I just put adhesive along the top, and there's that. And now I need my sentiment. So bring in the white, and the stamps that I'm going to use for this is Beach Day. And of course you can look through your stamps and pull out whichever sentiment you want. But I'm going to use Beach Day, and I'm going to use Wishing You a Beautiful Day. And I'm going to stamp that with Highland Heather. And I'm going to stamp it over towards the left because my flowers and leaves are going to go over here. Okay? So and I wiggled. I didn't mean to wiggle, so I'm going to flip it over and do it again. And actually, you know what? I'm going to do it on the opposite side. I'm just lining it up on the grid marks on my paper here. I'm going to put my flowers to the left of this card instead of the right. There we go. Okay, so glue that on. Put that right about there. Let me bring in the original so you can see the comparison. Right, now time for my flowers and my leaves, which are pretty dry, but not 100% dry. So I'm gonna sap them with the heat tool, and I'm gonna use my take your pick tool to hold them in place. I'm gonna put my leaves down first. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add some glue right here, and I'm going to break this in half, and I'm gonna put that one there like so. I can actually probably go up a bit. And I'm going to trim off a little bit of this leaf. This is how I like to get my mileage out of these stamp or die cuts, I should say. Right? Like, how perfect. How perfect. So I'm going to put this one right here. Stick some more glue down. You can put your flowers down first if you want, and then tuck your leaves underneath. But I'm going to do it this way. Oops, stay there, you. Stay put. I'm going to put a little bit of glue behind the tips now that I know where I want them. Okay. Maybe we'll put a little bit of glue here too, so that doesn't move around. See, I want to make sure they all fit. Oh yes. Okay, so I'm going to put this pretty pink one on first. Lots of glue, and I'm making sure I've got the corner of this sentiment covered, like this corner of the paper. And then we'll put this one on. Just kind of bunch them together. And then this one. See? Like, tell me that's not kind of magical. Like, that's kind of magical. Making flowers like that. I love it. And we've got such bigger flowers compared to the little ones, and they still look awesome. Now on this card I used rhinestones. Well, I'm going to use my all-time very favorite embellishments, and Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry them anymore, but I have one more pack that I stashed away, and I'm going to split it amongst all of you who got the card kits, and these iridescent rhinestones are gorgeous. So any size would work, the medium, the large, gem. And all I do, guys, is I just push it in the center. And if you have to lift up some of that paper to push it down, then go ahead and do that. Push it down really good. Oops, I thought I glued you down, little leaf. Clearly you're not dry yet. I think that is so pretty. And you can make this for any occasion. And again, the original, and I went darker, right? But you can definitely see that bouquet technique on there, right? So try this if you haven't already tried this technique, and try it with different colors. and different occasions. You could do reds and make this like a Christmas card, like poinsettias or something like that, or all whites with different blues if it's for a special anniversary, and just make this like a black and emboss it in white or something like that, or different embossing powders. I always get excited with cards because I see so many variations every time I do a card. And if you watch my videos, you know I say that all the time, like try it with this paper, try it with these colors, because you can take one design and make so many cards out of that one same layout, right? And I've always loved that. So there you are, card number 1 from my favorites from years gone by. Card number 2. Do any of you remember this technique? This is the ink direct to paper technique. Right now I can't think of the name of the stamp sets, but I am going to be recreating this card using Under the Moon. So instead of having the birds, I'm gonna have dolphins and a sailboat, right? So let's give this a whirl. Okay. So I have my crumb cake card base. This measures 11 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to run it through the So Swirly embossing folder. So I'm just lining the crease up just like so. If you got a card kit in the mail, this is already done for you. All the embossing and die cuts are done for you. But if you're following along at home, this is how I'm putting that card base in there. Okay, so now I have my embossed piece. It's actually going to go like that. And then I have Boho Blue. This measures 3 by 5 1/2, and Fairy Vanilla, which measures 3 by 5 1/2, and they're going to go on top just like this, which is the same layout as this, but I liked the embossing I had on this card, so that's why I decided to emboss this one. Okay, so now we are going to do some ink swiping. And I'm going to use I'm going to start with crumb cake first. Then I'm going to use our new beige, basic beige, gray granite, and then I'm going to use some boho blue along the top. Okay, this is really, really a fun technique that always just blew everyone away when they came to my card classes and events, especially if they were new to stamping. So the trick with this particular technique is to just go along the edge, just use the edge of your ink pad. Now these foam ink pads versus our older style, these tend to like to stick to the paper when you do this. So start light and then just swipe it real light across, okay? So here we go, real light. See, it's sticking. So there we go. Okay, just basically barely touch your paper. Keep swiping it. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna do the same thing with basic beige, and I'm gonna go over top just a little bit. Okay, fun. This is going to be the sand, and then gray granite. Just need a little bit of this. And I'm just going up along the top, and again, just using this edge, and I'm just aiming for this section right here. And go the other way if you want. And work it in just a little bit to this previous color. Now, boho blue. And I'm going to turn this around because I am right-handed, and this is going to go across the top. No, it's just going to go across the middle because this is going to be the water. Ooh, that's dark. That's okay. That's okay. Okay. There's my water. Looks like a big wave happening there, doesn't it? And pool party. Okay, there's my background, right? Crazy, crazy, but that's what we are working with. Now I am going to bring in my piercing mat because I'm stamping next with photopolymer. Now if you want to, you could stamp on top of this, but we're not going to today because we are casing my old favorite cards, right? And so I just want the boat for now anyways. My sailboat, and I'm going to stamp it with black memento. I'm going to stamp it right where? I'm going to stamp it right here because I want to keep room for my dolphins. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to put my sun on here. That's okay. I don't always put a sun on mine. I got a little spot there too of ink somehow. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to position my dolphins right about there. We'll have them coming above the water, and I'll have this guy right behind them. Pick that up. Ink it up very, very well. Unless you're using a stamp positioning tool, then you can stamp right back on top and hold that down. If you're looking for stamp positioning tools, I know Stampin' Up! Of course doesn't sell our Stamparatus anymore, but I do have one in my Amazon store that you can check out if you're interested. Okay, so that's what we have, and I forgot I need some grass. I need some grass. So let me grab another stamp set and bring in my Beach Day. And I realized when I was grabbing this stamp set, when I said I need some grass, probably, you know, probably didn't sound so good. Depends, you know, if you're not a stamper and you hear that, you're probably thinking a whole different kind of grass, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. No, I'm talking about grass stamps, man. All right, so Mossy Meadow, using this image from Beach Day. Pull in some of that beach grass. Let's do one there. I'm going to take it off now because I'm going to stamp off. Do a little bit there. And right there. And another one. See how that just fills that right in, right? And since we have seashells in the stamp set, it's only right, since I'm pulling this out, to stamp some seashells on there too. So I'm going to use gray granite and just stamp some shells on there. Now I do want my sunshine in there. So I'm going to take another dauber and I'm dabbing it into my crushed curry, and I'm just going to put it right above that sailboat. And the reason why I put my sun there is because I want to put my sentiment, sending sunshine your way, right there, also from Beach Day. And I am going to emboss that. So, grab my embossing buddy, and I'm going to try to stamp this right on top of that black mark. See that tiny little black mark? I want to hide that with embossing powder because, you know, I like a challenge. Clearly. All right. Lift it off. And I'm going to emboss that in gold. Or do I want silver? Let's do silver. I haven't used my silver for a while. And that's what I've got on the original card too. And I got powder where I don't want it. So I'm just going to take a paintbrush and brush off that excess. And just blow away the powder very carefully. I'm blowing while I'm brushing. All right, let's heat that up. I'm really glad I went with the silver actually versus the gold. The silver is a nice cool color to use with this, and I did manage to cover that little black ink spot. Okay, let's put our card together now. And if you wanted to, you could take some clear wink of Stella and put that on the sun, on the water, whatever you want. And then we'll put that on my card base. I could sure use a swim in the ocean right now, I can tell you that. I'm really pleased with that. What do you guys think? So I took these two old favorites, right, and changed them up using different stamps, combination of these two, and different colors, and that was a lot of fun. And I love that embossed sentiment. So I hope you guys enjoyed that card. Now it's time to move on to card number 3. Here is another one of my favorites, and I'm going to show you the original card that I made. It's up on my board, so I'm scooting way up so you can see. It's way up on my wall. I don't remember the name of that stamp set. I did that card years ago, and that's made on watercolor cardstock, and I absolutely love that card design. And this is exactly the same layout, and that's what we're doing today, except I'm going to do it with butterflies, so I'm really excited to put this card together. And my supplies are a piece of Granny Apple Green versus the old olive I used here, and this measures 3 3/4 by 3. And then my card base, I'm sticking with the Pool Party 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And then I have a piece of basic white, and this measures 3.5 by 2 3/4, and that's just gonna go on here like so. All right, so this is how you do this technique. It's so easy, you guys. So I'm going to just put this here. Now if you have like tacky adhesive or something where you can put this on so it doesn't move, go ahead and do that. I don't, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it there. And I'm going to stamp my butterfly, and I'm going to use StazOn because I am going to watercolor. So I did re-ink my StazOn ink pad, so it's really good and inky. And I'm going to stamp my whole butterfly on this one piece. Oh my gosh. And then you know what? I'm going to do a different butterfly. I'm going to do one of the smaller butterflies. I'm going to stamp this one right on. Okay, let's make sure that's center on my paper. I'm going to stamp this one right on top like so. And then let's grab this butterfly. I'm going to stamp that right over here like so. If you want to add more, you can add more, but this is going to look really pretty. Okay, time to color. All right, I have an idea, and this is optional. You guys don't have to do this, but I want to make this 3D. So I'm going to stamp a second butterfly, and I'll make sure that you have enough white in your kit. So if you want to do this as well, you can. And actually I want that to be darker, so I'm going to flip it over. There are dies with this stamp set, but and I have ordered them. I accidentally ordered the stamp set separate without getting it as a bundle. Don't know what the heck I was thinking. So I don't have my dies yet, but that's fine. I'm going to cut this. Oh, that's so much better. So much better. Okay, so I can move my card base, and now I'm going to color. I am using my watercolor pencils. So I've had these for years. Stampin' Up! Still sells some. So some of the colors are retired, like Rich Razzleberry, Melon Mambo. Is that retired? I think. But anyhow, there's some different colors in here that aren't available anymore, but you can use the colors that are available or what you have at home. I love using watercolor pencils. So I'm going to start with Granny Apple Green because I want to tie this color into my card, and I am going to color both the large butterflies. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of my Granny Apple Green. I'm going to color them exactly the same way. And let's bring in some blue. Bermuda Bay. That's an old color, isn't it? You guys, I had to open my door to my stamp area here because this afternoon it's hit 40 degrees and I had the door closed so that the fan wasn't too loud in the background, and I had to open it. I had to open it. It's just too hot. What is this? This is Gorgeous Grape. Look how pretty. I love blues and purples and greens together. I really love them. And I'm not being particular. I'm just kind of scribbling. That's what I mean by saying I'm not being particular. I'm just scribbling because when you use your blender pen or your water painter, those colors are all going to blend in together magically. This is Calypso Coral. Okay, what other color? Let's get some pink in there. Why not? This is Flirty Flamingo. We'll put some pink on here. We'll put a little bit of pink on this part. And let's do some more blue. Or Granny Apple. I don't know. We'll do both. We'll do both. We'll put some blue here. When in doubt, do both. Granny Apple. These are my colorful butterflies. Put a bit of Granny Apple there. All right. So, oh, and I need to do the outside here, don't I? So let's take some pink just to add a punch of color. We'll do it right down. And I'll just use gray for the body, and we only need to do it on this one because that's where I'm going to glue it to this. All right, I'm going to show you a couple different ways to color using your water painter and your blender with your watercolor pencils. All right, so with the blender pen, you're gonna have a lot more control of the area you're coloring. So you just work it in, stick with the same color first. I'll do this whole piece with the blender pen, and I'll do that one with my water painter so you can see the difference. So then go back and forth on your scrap paper, then go into your next color, blend that in, go back and forth, and just continue doing that and work it in to the colors that are on your paper. Okay, look at that. Whenever I do this with my blender pen and the watercolor pencils, it feels like butter to me. It's just got such a smoothness to it. See, and it just fills everything in so beautifully. Okay, so I think that's it for, oh, pink, gotta do our pink. All right, so that's how it looks using our watercolor pencils and a blender pen. Okay, and if you haven't gotten blender pens before, they're the same tip on each side, and you can use them in our ink pads. You can use them like I just showed you. I'm picking some up right from the tip of the pencil because I want to add some more pink. See, look at that. So you can pick up color that way. I'm going to put some pink on here too. Okay. I'm going to do a bit more. Okay, now water painter. Where is my water painter that has actually water in it? I was just using it. Hang on a second. Okay, I have water in my water painter. If you've never used these before, they just unscrew. You fill them up with your water, and you get the fine tip, you get a bigger tip, and you get a wide tip, all in the same package from Stampin' Up. So I'm actually going to use the middle-sized one. So you just squeeze it. It actually says push right here. So you just squeeze it until water comes out. So you have a lot more control of the water. There we go. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. Okay, look at there's all the water coming out now. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to work it with my green first. And I'm not going to worry about cleaning it because I want to pull those colors in. Look at that. Like my blues and greens. I'm fine with them blending into each other. Same thing with my purple. But I will clean my water painter before I go into that pink. See, you can pull some of that purple in. Go back and forth. Now I'm going to go into my pink. Right? Fun, fun, fun. And my gray. And just like I showed you on this one with the blender pen, or sorry, blender pen with the water pencil, you can pick up your color with your water painter as well. So if you want to add a little bit of pink and work that in, it'll be more intense the less water you have on your brush. So you can just really have a play. I'm going to pull some more green in here somewhere, I think. So I'm just going to squeeze that again, get some water out. And I can go back on top of what I've already colored to make it a little bit darker as well. So watercolor pencils are very versatile. You can do so much with them. I'm going to bring this color in, my Melon Mambo. I'm going to pick some of that up because I've decided I want some of this to be a little bit darker on the edge. See? And maybe I'll pull some of that pink up here also. And I'll do the same. Oh, actually, maybe I'll pull some pink in here as well. Then it's not such a harsh divide between those colors. Okay, and do the same thing here. Okay. Right, so using the water painter and using the blender pen. So you do get a bit of a difference. You get more of a water look, of course, when you're using the water. Blender pen smooths all your water pencil together very, very smoothly and nicely, and keeps the color a little bit more separate. So I'm just going to dry this. And actually, if you look at my original card, sparkle, diamonds. Miss my sparkle. Oh, but this is adding a nice shimmer. I'm just going on the edge, and in the center we'll do his body also. You can also use your, actually let's just pull some of that down. You can use your clear Wink of Stella to color like we did as well today. Just make sure you clean the tip because it will pick up ink, for instance. Let's pull that down. And do the same thing here. And his antennas. And do these guys. I'm going to do these guys in full. I'm going to dry this because a lot of clear Wink of Stella came out. So I'm really hoping you can see. I think you can. So pretty, right? So pretty. So this one's going to get glued onto the granny apple. Let's slide that over a bit. There we go. And then I'm going to put this on my card with dimensionals. You don't have to. You can glue it. Actually, no. I'm going to glue it on because the butterfly that I'm going to cut out is going to be kind of 3D, right? So I don't have to put this on dimensionals. But if you wanted to, you could, and that would look really cool as well. So all you're going to do is line this up. Look at that. That's like the spot. This is the spotlight technique. That's what this is. It's a variation of the spotlight technique. Let's cut this guy out. And I'm not going to worry about the antennas because they're already stamped on this piece. I'm trying to get close to the stamped edge without losing any of the detail. And I always like to remind everyone, move your paper, not just your scissors when you're cutting. I'm going to cut right across there though. Brian has gotten home while I was filming and he's scooting around cutting our lawn because we are now getting severe thunderstorm warnings with lots of rain, and we are actually off to New Brunswick this weekend so I can have a gathering with my Serene Stamper team, and we're going to have a shoebox swap. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be a long day. It's like a 5-hour drive, I think. So we're going to leave really early and do a little couple errands while we're there before the event, and then drive right back. So it's going to be a late night. So we're going to be tired. So he's going to try to get the lawn done now so so it doesn't get too out of control while we're gone. This butterfly is so pretty. Okay, I'm gonna actually just grab my memento. I could use my Stays On, but I'm gonna use memento and a little bit of a sponge, and I'm gonna sponge around those edges to kind of hide the white. It also adds nice dimension to this too. Okay. I'm going to put a little tiny bit of glue on the butterfly's body. I'm just squeezing out a little bit and using the tip to pull it up because I don't want too much glue. So let's bend those wings. I'm actually going to grab my bone folder and very carefully bend the wings so that I don't break them, or rip them I should say. Okay, let's just put that on the card and push down on that body. Oops. I should have bent these wings a bit more. There we go. Wow. Just wow. Look at that. Holy, I love it. Time for the sentiment. So I'm just taking a scrap piece of Pool Party, and I really love the sentiments in this. I'm gonna do "You Brighten Up So Many of My Days," and I'm just gonna stamp it with black. I'm just gonna use my Stays On. If you're using photopolymer, I recommend you use your memento. Okay. Oop. I smudged it. So let's do that again. Straight down, no wiggling allowed. There we go. That's better. And because I just re-inked the zinc pad, I'm actually going to zap it with the heat tool because there's a lot of ink on that ink pad. Just to make sure I don't smudge anything. You could use any sentiment you like, of course. And I'm going to flag the end. So I'm just go up the center and then side to side. And I'm going to put that on with dimensionals. I'm going to use my mini dimensionals for that. Actually, I'm just going to even that up just a little bit. And I'm just going to tuck it right over here, lining up that edge. Kind of. I'm really pleased with how that turned out, I must say. I knew the cards that I was going to be using in these classes. Well, I have too many cards. It's been really hard narrowing it down, but I knew this was going to be one of them, but I'm designing as I'm filming, and I am so happy with this. I cannot even tell you, like, that butterfly is, I think it's probably one of the best butterfly stamp images we've ever had, and we've had some beauties over the years, but I love this. I love the size, and now of course it's making me want to make like a shadow frame with just this butterfly doing exactly like I did here, but all different colors. Like, wouldn't that be cool? So here's my original, well, not my original. It's one that I made using the same layout, and then the one that I showed you earlier with the roses. So I hope you have fun with that. I know I sure did.